I'm Catherine Tipper, here with my co-host Kalin Jordan for another episode of Planarchy. We are coming to the end of Women's Retirement Day series and excited to welcome our guest. Jean Duffy is Senior Vice President and Financial Advisor at CAPTRUST, where she advises retirement plan sponsors on plan design, fiduciary responsibility, and participant outcomes. She was the first person in Iowa to earn the Accredited Investment Fiduciary Analyst designation. Go, Jean! And holds the Accredited Retirement Plan Consultant credential. She serves on the American Retirement Association's Council for Women Advisory Committee. Before joining CAPTRUST, she spent over a decade at Holmes Murphy and got her start in the industry at Principal Financial Group, as many good people from Iowa do. She's based in Des Moines, where she now works alongside her daughter, Liz. Well, welcome to Planarchy. We are so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Catherine. I'm excited to be here with you and Kalin.
And what a set of credentials. I mean, gosh.
I was going to say that,
really impressive.
You're coming in strong from Iowa, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, sometimes the names are a little bit like, well, that sounds really impressive. I guess I'll take it.
Okay, so one of the first questions we always love to ask is, what's your walk-up song? Meaning, like, we see little kids, at baseball games with their, I'm ready to go, and this is the song that jazzes me up. Do you have a song that's your walk-up song?
I do have a song. I have a song I like to listen to if I'm going into a big presentation or something I really want to fire myself up with. And it's a song called Dive or Dive In by Stephen Curtis Chapman. And I think because the most rewarding opportunities that I've ever had have come from when I was willing to just dive in and try something new, to advocate, to commit myself to something that maybe I wasn't fully ready for. Maybe I didn't know if I was ready, but I was just willing to dive in and try it. And whether that's building my career in the retirement plan industry or helping employers improve retirement incomes or championing women's retirement across the country, I think growth has rarely come from just staying where you're comfortable and kind of getting into a zone where it takes a lot of courage. And I guess that's a lesson I hope more women will embrace. You don't have to feel completely ready before taking that next step. Sometimes you just have to dive in.
That's an excellent point
Awesome.
of jump in. Jump in, and you will get help in the water.
Well, we can jump into some more questions before you, Jean. I think what really struck me when we spoke to you before the podcast was that you decided in high school that this is what you wanted to do, meaning retirement. So what was the draw, and what did this even mean when you were 17 years old? Like, what kind of concept do you have of what retirement is at that age?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think, certainly probably a unicorn, because we don't find very many people who knew early in life what they wanted to do. And I don't know if I knew at 17 that I knew exactly what my future would look like, but I knew I was fascinated by personal finance and investing for our future and retirement. And I knew that I also loved people, particularly encouraging people. So somehow I wanted to find a way to combine those two things together. And I love the idea that smart financial decisions could really change a trajectory for someone's future, and that I could be someone to help them with that. And I think over time, what this became was much bigger than money and investments. It's really become for me about helping people prepare for the future and for retirement in particular, and making those goals feel like something like, hey, I can do this. I've got Jean sitting here beside me, and she's going to help me figure this out, and I can achieve this goal. And I think that's the part that I really have learned to love. So I knew I wanted to combine those couple things when I was in high school, but to know exactly what it would look like, now sitting here, however many years later that is, I can't even do that math quick enough in my head, but it's interesting now that it's something much bigger.
That's just amazing to have a sense of that in high school, because I think I had zero sense in high school about what all of this might be. And I think I bought into the concept a little bit that, if you were an investment professional, you wore a three-piece suit and you only dealt with people who had $500,000 in assets or above. Do you know what I mean? It was you lived up in the castle and those people got financial advisors.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can really relate to what you're saying though, because I think and when I was in high school, when I was 17, I knew what I wanted to do too. And I think I went into politics, but the people part of it was the main driver. So I think knowing yourself that there's some part of you that isn't going to change, you're always going to like being around people and just finding where you can mix that part of what you like with work is really critical. And it's
Yeah.
probably a lot of why you stay doing what you've been doing for so long.
Yeah, absolutely, Caitlin. I think it is important to kind of know where your strengths are and what gives you joy and what gives you what you're really passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, your family's financial life look different from the work that you do, from kind of like what you do now. How does the way that you grew up influence how you approach your work?
I love that question because, how I grew up with my family and around that, what that looked like for me really created the relationship I have with money, and it stays with me every day. I didn't grow up talking about investments or stock portfolio or portfolio optimization at all. Money was something I learned you worked hard for. You figured out how to make it work for you. You saved for a rainy day, and sometimes you worried about it. And I think that background, my background, really gives me empathy and reminds me that the people I work with today, the employees that I interact with, they're not thinking about complex investment topics. They're really trying to pay the rent or the mortgage. They're trying to figure out childcare and student loans and just trying to figure out life. And if we want people to save for retirement, we really have to meet them where they are and make it simpler, make it more accessible, make it easy to understand. And I think my upbringing is a big benefit to me. I might not have realized this early on, but I don't know how to talk a really large language or big words. Like I learned table talk. Like that's how I'm going to talk investments. I'm going to talk table talk. And I think
That's
that's
beautiful, though.
important.
I think that's what everybody wants, though. Everybody wants to be able to feel like they can, sit down and talk with a real person. Um, so we're curious a little bit what you see from the advisor's chair. And you've sat across from a lot of plan sponsors over the year. What's the thing most of them still get wrong about what their employees need?
I think many of them probably underestimate the need for simplicity and how we can drive simplicity for the employees. So we spend a lot of time talking about plan design features and debating them and investment options and target date funds and glide path, but participants often need something really basic, and that is how do we make this work for me? What do I need to do? What are the decisions I need to make? And they want a really clear path to success. So I think the plans that kind of remove the friction points for employees are probably the best, using automatic features like auto enrollment, auto increase, providing meaningful education and access to advice, and really making it easy for those employees to travel down that path toward retirement. And again, I don't think people are looking to make their lives more complicated. I think they're looking for ways to make their lives simpler, and they're looking for confidence. And how do I get the confidence to know that I'm making the right decisions, and who can help me with that?
That is fantastic. Yeah. When you look at a plan, do you think that certain plans you can see that it is built to really that this will respond well with women or not? Is there anything about plan design that seems especially either useful or important to women?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a plan that's really designed for real life, for reality. And women we know are still likely to experience career interruptions, caregiving responsibilities, longer life expectancies, sometimes maybe wage disparities. And a plan that works well for women acknowledges those realities. And that means they do a lot of the things we talked about already with the automatic features, strong employer contributions, accessible education, and communication that speaks to really the different stages of life. And I think it also means creating a culture where financial wellness and access to advice is considered part of the overall benefits package, just really bringing that advice and that ongoing education to them.
What's interesting about your response is other financial advisors we've talked to also talk about the concepts around the plan. And when you talk about culture, I feel like that's part of it, right? Of just, I don't know if most people don't look and say there's specific plan plan ideas, but the culture about saving and getting into
Mm-hmm.
it. I would say, yeah, people jumping in and out of plans and what those are kind of basic ERISA things,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
but they really help. I'd say a well designed plan and well understood plan can really help women. Do you know?
Yes,
So
yes.
that's you
And
know,
women, oftentimes we underestimate our own abilities, right? We don't think we're capable of doing certain things. So a lot of that is building that culture of trust too. Like if you're the advisor for a company and you're the one who's been showing up there the last 5 years, people are like, "Yay, Jean's here. I get to talk to her about retirement." And they have that trust the minute they walk in the door. And I think that takes time, but I think that's really important, especially for women, because I think in general, we just need somebody to build our confidence up a little bit more when it comes to really important decisions.
yeah.
I
And I
think
think it's true.
that
You walking in the room, being a person, and a consistent
Mm.
person is almost like the example and signal that people need.
well, the best design for a plan doesn't matter if nobody knows about the plan and nobody trusts you enough to enter into the plan. So I think that
Yes.
education piece is so important. Like you said, being the face, we're so much more, I think, community driven than men often are. So I think building that sense of community and camaraderie and like I'm here for you, like I show up once, like you said, oh, you're here again, I can talk to you about retirement. That makes people
Yes.
feel good, like they're not just entering into something with no face to put to it to who's supposed to help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that, Kaylin. And I love the part you said because it's actually something I say quite often. I say, like we can do everything else right around plan design, fiduciary government governance, investment, process, record keeper management. We can do everything else right. But if we don't get the participants utilizing the plan to the best of their abilities, then what's it all for? Like, I don't want to do everything else right if we can't get that piece right. I think it's really important.
Fantastic.
Well, I'd love to pivot us to talk about Women's Retirement Security Day. Um, I know you've been a key part of the work leading up to July 14th. So, what is the piece that you feel doesn't get enough attention when it comes to women in saving for their retirement?
Yeah, so we've obviously spent a lot of time talking about awareness and building awareness, but awareness alone won't close the retirement gap. What we need to spend more time on will be action after this. So most women don't need somebody telling them or another statistic telling them they're behind. They need practical steps that they can take today, and they need employers willing to design plans that will support those steps. And I think the opportunity now is turning awareness into behavior and behavior into then long-term financial security. I
Mm.
love helping people take action and then celebrating with them when I see it moving for them. And Women's Retirement Security Day exists to start the conversation, but the goal will be what happens after the conversation.
I like that you ended on that because I was actually going to ask you what's the goal? Like, it isn't just awareness, but if you could see one real change happen from last year to this year with this first Women's Retirement Security Day, and it could be as small as you want, but like, what would be one thing that you would love to see change?
I mean, I think as I think about it in my world on the retirement plan side, it would be more employers adopting plans, more employers using automatic features, more employers using higher automatic features, more employers offering financial education and advice, and really then measuring participant outcomes across different employee groups and figuring out how are we doing, measuring it, and figuring out what the next steps. So success in my mind isn't the event itself. It is first the employers making those important decisions, but then even more so, it's more employees engaged with that decision-making process for themselves and just having the ability to celebrate more people, moving themselves closer to the end goal of living retirement financially secure.
Well,
Yeah.
fantastic. So, the one thing that we love to end with is if you had a magic wand, what is the one money myth that you would like to have go away?
I've been thinking about money myths a lot lately as we've been working on this, and I'm going to actually name two. I'll keep one really
Okay.
short and then
We'll
the other a
allow
little bit longer.
it.
The first one would be, and Kalin, or maybe Catherine, you mentioned it. I'm not sure one of you mentioned it earlier. Is that you have to be wealthy to be an investor, and that just isn't true. We can all be investors. It doesn't take a lot of money to get started to become a saver turned into an investor. The second one would be the fact that, and I hear this often and have heard it often, that it'll be easier to save later or save more later. And people assume they'll have more money later. They'll assume they'll have more time. They'll assume they'll have more flexibility. And sometimes that's true, but those of us who've lived a little more life know that often life gets more expensive, not less expensive. And so the most powerful factor in retirement savings isn't finding the perfect investment or the perfect amount of money to save. It's just getting started. You don't have to save perfectly. You just have to start. And small actions taken consistently over time will be more powerful than waiting for the right time. I think when it comes to retirement, and those of us who work in this industry or around investments know, time is your greatest asset, and it's the one thing that we can't get back. So helping people put that time to work for them, put me in front of a group of 20-something-year-olds or 30-something-year-olds. I just love that audience and helping them understand that. Because let's also talk about the end picture here. And just one last statement here that I'd make is retirement security isn't really about money. It's about freedom. Freedom to make the choices you want to support the people you care about the most in retirement, and to live the life that you want to live on your own terms. And the more that we can help women achieve that freedom, the better off we'll all be as we look to a brighter future.
It's interesting, I would say, to think of it in terms of freedom. When I think we don't necessarily think of money in terms of freedom. Maybe we do, some a little bit, but I mean, if you really want to be free, and I like the fact that this whole group really put in security as well, because it's hard to get people sometimes to think about their retirement, but to think about their long-term security. That is something that they can think about today as well as next week, 10 years into the retirement. So I really think we've made some great progress in terms of the ideas. So, well, I certainly, greatly appreciate getting to meet you during this whole Women's Retirement Security Day thing, and really respect that you've been working on it a long time. I just kind of came in like a comet at a certain point and said, let's razzle dazzle this a little bit.
But we were glad to have you join. The more the merrier, right? And it takes more than just a few. We need as many people as possible carrying the message. So we appreciated you jumping in like a comment.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much, and I look forward to doing more work, because we want the next one to be like we're shifting. Not only have we shifted to the discussion, but we've actually seen things happen. And that's the real success, is if we get more people just going, I've started, I'm working on it, I've done the first couple of steps. That would be a huge accomplishment. So thank you very much.
When do we start working on next year? July 15th?
I think so.
Yes.
So people listening, if you have any questions for Kalin and I at Hunter Benefits, you can get a hold of us at sales@hunterbenefits.com, our email. I think Jean's really easy to get a hold of in LinkedIn, easy to find her, but easy to find. So I greatly appreciate this. Look forward to continuing this conversation in the future.
Thank you very much.